morning, garden friends. Welcome back to This Week in the Garden. It's week 4 of This Week in the Garden. This week is going to be a little bit different. I'm starting this video on Saturday, which is the end of my garden week. And yeah, I haven't done any filming this week until today. It's been a bit of a crazy week. A lot of stuff going on the farm, just different projects pulled me away. And so when I could get into the garden, I just ran in and did a bunch of things without bothering to drag the camera out and set up and all that stuff. I just wanted to get some stuff done. We also had a bit of typical New England roller coaster spring weather. We had a day of almost 90 degrees, another day of 80, and then just 2 days ago we had frost warnings. So it's been sort of a seesaw kind of week weather-wise. I delayed putting in tomatoes and peppers this week. I had hoped to get them in, but with the potential frost warning, I didn't want to lose, what is basically months of work keeping these plants alive, just because I wanted to get them in a little early. So I delayed that planting, and that will happen next week. The weather's looking much more stable, and we should be well past frost danger at that point. So yeah, so it was just sort of a crazy, typical May week, and I didn't make time to video different things that I did during the week, but did get a lot done. So there's some new stuff I want to show you. Plus, I thought I'd just do kind of a quick review of where things stand right now in the garden with the things that we've planted already, things that are already growing. So you can see where we are in week 4 of our garden series. So let's take a walk and I'll show you what's been happening. Alright, so I thought I'd start in the fruit rows and just kind of give an update on what's going on. Here are the 3 honeyberry plants. They're looking a little stressed, but I guess that's to be expected. They were shipped across the country in basically sawdust, and now they've been shoved in the ground, so they probably need a little period of adjustment. I'll keep an eye on them and keep them well watered. You'll notice I removed all the daffodils. They've been relocated. Actually, I put them in buckets and put them at the end of our road and gave them away. So they are in somebody else's garden now. The elderberries continue to grow pretty well. Oh, and all over this garden and all of my gardens, I have a gazillion of these maple seedlings. We have maple trees everywhere, and yeah. So I feel like I spend the first 2 months of spring pulling up maple seedlings. Anyway, so these elderberries are greening up nicely. And swing around here. Here is the espaliered apple. Looks like lots of blossoms on all of the different apple branches, all the different types. Hopefully we get some fruit this year. That would be lovely. Blackberries doing well. As you can see, the weeds are starting to emerge, so I gotta get on that. Eventually, I think both of these rows will be covered with a thick layer of wood chips. We haven't got to that point yet. That's a husband job, I think. So yeah, it looks like the soil's pretty bare. It will be covered for the remainder of the summer, which will help us keep the weeds down. The pear tree espalier looks like it's done flowering and may have set some fruit. So I'm going to have to start thinning these soon. We'll see. We'll let them develop a little bit more. But looks like we got some good fruit. Very excited about that. Alright, the goji berries, they're sort of doing so-so. I'm going to have to do some more research on goji berry plant growing. They seem to be a little pale, but we'll keep an eye on them. I still haven't done anything with this plum espalier yet. That is coming. More goji berries, and then the Macintosh. I don't know if I showed this, but I did get this. Actually, I did show this, I think, in week 2. I did get this all espaliered. Still haven't decided what to do with this branch, but I'm leaning more and more toward trying to get it down like this, I think it might work. So we'll see. That's still on the I'm thinking about it list. So let's swing around. Sue's garlic is crazy. Look at that. It's so, God, it's got to be knee-high. Yep, knee-high at least. It's beautiful. Sue, your garlic is looking awesome. Love it. All right, let's walk up this way. This next row is reserved for a neighbor of mine who will be coming shortly to plant stuff. So then the next row, if you remember, I think it was last week, we planted potatoes. The tarp back in the back is for sweet potatoes. Those haven't arrived yet. It's still too early here, but they should be arriving soon. And then we planted 2 varieties of regular potatoes, Yukon Gold and Red Norland, dark red Norland. Here's one of the dark red plants sticking out already. They had sprouted pretty well before we put them in the ground, so I would expect to see them sooner rather than later. Oops. Actually, there's another one right there. Cool. All right. So this row is reserved for squashes. Still too early. I tend to sow my squashes later to try to outwit squash bugs and cucumber beetles. So those are coming, still in the greenhouse. We put up a long stretch of fencing with T-posts on this row because I'm going to be training the sugar snap peas, which are, look at that, already a couple inches tall, up onto the fence. And then down here will be tomatoes and cucumbers, which will also be trained to the fence, keep them up off the ground, and secure from winds. It tends to get a little windy here in this spot. So yeah, we put that in. I believe that was late last week. I don't think I showed you this yet. Maybe I did. I'm losing track already of what I've shown you and what I haven't. So the peas are looking fabulous. Let's come around here. So this upcoming week, week 5, you'll see this fenced-in row filled in with tomatoes. The cucumbers are still a couple of weeks out. This row, let me see if I've got this right. This row will have peppers in at least the first half of the row, and then the last half of the row is open at this point for additional crops as we see fit, or overflow of particular crops. In this row we planted beans. My friend Sylvia came over and we planted beans probably about half the row. The first third, I guess, of the row we did black turtle beans, and then I don't know if you can see the line in the dirt there. Starting there, we planted the first batch of green beans. I like to plant successive sowings of green beans throughout the summer so that they don't all come in at once and you're picking masses of green beans all at once. So that's the first planting. In a couple of weeks we'll do the second planting. And actually I have to water this row this morning. More weeds. Look at all these sunflowers that just self-sowed from the pollinator row last year. Fortunately, a lot of these are going to get removed, but a few I think I'll save. We're going to be planting more sunflowers in this row here. Next week I hope to get this row planted up as well. This is going to be the pollinator row. It'll have sunflowers, zinnias, tithonia, cosmos, bachelor buttons. I think that's it. A wide variety of flowers that attract pollinators and birds into the garden to help with pest control. All right, so brassicas. Oof. This one's been tough. Most of these are looking pretty good. Like the kale is looking great. I don't know if you can see that through the row cover, but there's a couple of kale plants right there that look fabulous. Actually, let me lift up the row cover over here. There we go. There, happy kale plant. So the kale is looking pretty good, as well as, let me step over here. This is sort of an assorted brassica row. There's some pak choi that's looking great. And of course, the arugula is looking great. A couple more weeks we'll be able to harvest that. However, I think I mentioned before that I had run out of toilet paper tubes to make cutworm collars, and we've had some significant losses actually in the cauliflower section, this row here. Let me get down. There we go. So in this section here, as you can see, dead, a lot of them very dead. So yeah, disappointing, but this is all part of growing. And I think there's down here, there's some cabbages that also died. Very disappointed. Some of them cutworms got them, and some of them they just didn't make the transition from plug to the garden. So I'm going to resow a bunch of these and plant them out again, because that's what we do when we lose when we lose stuff. Just keep trying, and eventually, hopefully, we'll get it right. Next year, saving up lots more toilet paper tubes for cutworm prevention, and hopefully getting my irrigation set up a little earlier to help with the transition from seedling to garden. All right, away from the brassicas. Again, look at how awesome this arugula looks. I'm so excited about this. Yay! Fields of green. Very happy. I will be doing a second sowing of this week, just extending it down the row to keep successions of arugula going, hopefully all summer. In the next row, we planted chard. This is the first planting of chard. May do a second planting. We'll see how it goes. This is charbel and rainbow mix, rainbow chard. So all different colors. And then right after that, we sowed the first batch of beets. What is the Early Wonder Tall Top? There we go, Early Wonder Tall Top. And then plain red beet. Can't remember. It's not Ace. Might be Ace. I'll have to check, and I'll put it on the screen. But anyway, second sowing, second type of beet in here. I do have some spinach seedlings that I'm going to put in this section here, hopefully today. If not, then tomorrow. And I'll film that for the next week's video. Been struggling with spinach this year, getting it to germinate. I ordered a new packet of space seeds from Johnny's, and I'm only getting like 30 to 40% at best germination. Don't know what's wrong. I haven't called Johnny's yet, but I'm going to order some more spinach seed from another company to see if maybe that might be the problem. Anyway, so the spinach this year is going to be limited, but we will get it in. Up here is, pardon my shadow, up here is the first sowing of carrots, and they are up. This is a variety called Yaya, so they're just coming up. Just see them. The weeds haven't been too bad yet, so we'll keep this watered, and this week, I hope, this upcoming week, week 5, I hope to get the second set of carrots in, the main crop carrots, in the middle of this row. And then later in the summer, I'll do a storage set of carrots at the end of the row. We got this row all composted. This is going to be the next lettuce row. So we will put tarps like this over this row. Get that all set up. And then down at the back of the onion row, the onions are still looking pretty good. Get into the first plantings of lettuce, which are settling in. And I did another set of lettuce plantings, some more head lettuces, including Bergram's Green, New Red Fire, and I believe Green Star. And then another batch of the Salanova lettuces that you cut into a mix. So those just went in a couple days ago, so they're settling in. Not much else happening over on this side of the garden. Still haven't done much with the asparagus row. Oh wait, let's check out. Well, actually these here are a couple of odd roses that were found on the property that I don't know what to do with yet. These pots in the ground are leftover State Forest Nursery seedlings that needed to get somewhere safe for the winter. So I stuck them in here. I do need to water them though, they're looking a little stressed. Anyway, still going to figure out what I want to do with these. Some of these are going into the pond garden. I believe some of the 9-barks are going to make their way into the pond garden, and possibly some of the, where are they? There we go, down here. Buttonbush. Some of the button bushes are definitely going into the pond garden. So look at my comfrey already. Oh my God. My friend Sylvia, who I got these cuttings from, said I would regret this, and I'm almost to that point. Comfrey is great for many things, but it is a bit of a thug. It is beautiful though. The flowers are already out. Look at those. You know, so the bees are happy. As you can see, I still need to weed this aisle that never got weeded. The asparagus is looking pretty tree-like right now, so I'm going to have to start monitoring for asparagus beetles pretty soon and seeing, you know, if I can keep those under control. Perennial holding row is hanging in. Here's some native columbine that's about ready to open up. Hopefully by the end of the summer this row will be mostly empty, and most of this will be into the pollinator garden behind the house. Oh my God, look at this rhubarb. This is ridiculous. There's literally a forest of rhubarb, a hedge. It's starting to bolt here, so I have to make sure that I pull these out. Pull these flower heads out. Just toss them into the aisle to rot down. Yeah, lots of rhubarb. Here's the asparagus. You can see it's pretty much as tall as I am right now. And I still haven't really weeded. I started to. Didn't get very far. So again, another task on the list. Oh, wait a minute. Yep, the first asparagus beetles. Little buggers. All right, just officially squished my first asparagus beetle. So I'm gonna have to go through and do a full inspection and kill as many as I can. I always like to take shots that look across the garden at different times of the year to see how it changes month to month. So here we are at the end of May, Memorial Day weekend, and yeah, not a huge amount going on, but under the surface there's a ton of stuff that will be sprouting very soon, and when I come back at the end of June and do this, you'll see there'll be a huge difference in the way the garden looks, and I'm so excited for it. All right, well that is it for week 4 in the garden. And yeah, again, kind of a crazy week and lots going on, but still managed to get some things in the ground and still moving the garden forward as we go deeper into the growing season here in central New Hampshire, zone 5B. Crazy weather this week, as is typical of New England. This happens every year. We have massive heat wave and then we have frost, and yeah, keeps you kind of on your toes until about Memorial Day, when finally you can feel pretty sure that things are going to be warm enough to put out the tender crops. So next week we'll definitely get on that, doing tomatoes and peppers and such. Yeah, and hopefully by then the black flies will have calmed down a little bit. This morning they're not bad, so I don't have my net on, but there's a few flying around. It's just cool enough and breezy enough, I think, that they haven't come out yet. They will, though. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap it up for this week, and thank you for joining me. I do appreciate that you're here. Come back next week for week 5, when we plant lots of stuff in the ground and the garden really starts to crank up in the growing season. So we'll see you then. Take care. Bye.